Oh yeah. Today we're going to be covering part 2 of Jojo's Bizarre Adventure, that being Battle Tendency. The main character for part 2, because each part changes main character, is none other than Joseph Joestar. Arguably, probably one of the coolest Jojos out there. He's one of my top 3, I would say. And on the back we have Strezo. No, I'm stupid. Sanviento. This guy is an Aztec ancient vampire dude. In part 2, if you ask me, is better than part 1. And really helps get the people who are just starting out watching JoJo get into JoJo. At least I feel that way. Let's take a little journey through this one. I also have the other 3 manga that go with this part. I will quickly kind of gloss through bits and pieces of it, just to give you an idea, a little taste tester, if you will, of what Battle Tendency is all about. So Battle Tendency, correct me if I'm wrong, starts in 1928. So this is after about 50 years have passed from the first part. And there are still vampires in it. If you've seen the part 1, there are vampires. But these vampires are even more insane because they're like Aztec gods who are trying to become immortal. And currently I'm just flipping through the pages. Oh, I think I saw a date there. I think it said 1938. I was off. And let's see if I can get a nice shot of our main character for this part. This is probably one of the best ones early on. This is our main character here, Joseph Joestar. Very, very awesome man. He's very witty, and he's very smart in battle. Ooh, I like this shot of Joseph Joestar. This is for the beginning of a chapter, and that's with his grandma. I'm not going to spoil who the grandma is because you should read part 1. Anyway, Joseph Joestar is attacked by none other than Strezo. This is who I was referring to earlier. He is also a vampire. And it's one of the very first enemies of this part. After a while, the guy on the back that I have talked about, who is Sanviento, comes alive after being basically petrified for hundreds of years. And he just goes on a killing spree. If you have ever seen the cave diver memes go around, you might have actually seen Sanviento as a cave diving meme. Because in one of the scenes, he fits into a vent by like squishing his whole body and going through it despite him being a gargantuanly large man. Nonetheless, we have some colored pages here. It's a nice color page. Very nice shadowing. You also get to see a little doodle of Joseph Joestar there. I love those doodles. And we get to see this full hardcover. I think one of the funny things that I like when reading Araki's work is just looking at his artwork and looking at how disproportionate some of the limbs are, or how jank they look. Because some of the limbs can look really, really bent out of shape and unrealistic. But it helped me decipher that, you know, as an artist, you don't have to make everything look super precise and detailed in proportion. You can do a little bit of some illusionatory magic. And in order to get your point across. Here's another one of those pieces of art for the cover of a chapter. This first book, personally, where we are, isn't my favorite. I particularly like the middle and end parts of this book. But I believe there's one more character I need to introduce here, if I am not mistaken. Ooh, can we get a full art here? Ah, yes. So, San Viento, the guy that was gargantuan, also can absorb people's bodies and eat them as nutrients. So, that's new. Never happened in part 1 from what I can recall. Just kind of came out of nowhere. Let's see, I believe there's one more character I'm forgetting here. Ah, yes. 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 If you love German engineering, then you'll love Stroheim. Most likely. Let me see, do I got a... Was that a good shot of him? No, that's of the next character that we'll get to in a second. But this here is Stroheim, and he blows himself up with a grenade. And rightly so. I mean, he did it for a good cause, let's be real. But we also get the shot of our next upcoming side character, being Caesar Zabelli. Next, we get Lisa on the front cover of this book. And on the back we have AC/DC. Yes, he's named after the band. If you don't know Jojo's Bizarre Adventure, the author really likes to talk about the bands and the artists and the songs, and there's a lot of references. This volume goes over Joseph and Caesar, who is the name of the side character. You can see him and Joseph Joestar posing together. That's pretty epic. That's like you and your homie when you pull up to the function. But they come across and awaken these ancient people, these Aztec warriors that are like barely wearing anything. I mean, look at how much ass is there. I'm not gay, but like, damn. Anyhow, if you are aware of a song that goes like ay 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 ya and then proceeds to break out into some like pseudo trap, that's from part 2 of Jojo. It's a very popular song. Anyhow, these guys awaken and they want to become immortal, and so they start looking for this stone called Aja, which I didn't realize but is named after a Steely Dan song, which is a good song, by the way. And after they awaken, what ends up happening is they went to a island to go train with this lady called Lisa, which has the stone of Aja that the Aztec warriors are looking for. And so she is training the two, Joseph and Caesar, to become very strong Hammond users, because Hammond is the power system in this part. I got a notification on my phone. Unfortunately, it's not for the internet coming back up, which is a shame. Anyhow, as they are training and getting ready, they get infiltrated by AC/DC, who has the ability to boil your blood, basically, into steam. And Joseph and AC/DC have this amazing fight on top of some deadly spikes. And that would close out the end of book 2, but there is a cliffhanger on it. coolest villains there is, in my opinion. I think Wamu is like pretty sick. I have respect for Wamu because what Wamu did at the very beginning when he first broke out is he actually gave Joseph and Caesar 30 days before they would have to battle again. Mainly Joseph. He placed like a ring around his neck that would kill him if he didn't come back and fight in 30 days. Anyhow, what's happening now is after Joseph defeats AC/DC on this nice, beautifully colored page, AC/DC's brain is still alive, and he uses that to try and kill basically everyone around him and utilize other people as a means to an end. After this, they realize that Cars, who is the main villain, which will be on the front of the next book, Cars is hidden out somewhere in Switzerland, and they are going there because they would like to stop the fact that the Stone of Asha has gotten stolen out of Lisa's hands at one point or another. And they figured out through a postal system that it ended up in Switzerland, and so that's why they're going to Switzerland, is because they know that if they don't, Cars will be there. After a while of being there, we get a surprise cameo or a reappearance of a certain character, and it is pretty epic. And then Joseph and Caesar actually end up fighting whether or not to infiltrate them at their current moment or later in time when they have the advantage of sunlight on their side. If I remember correctly. It's been a while. Anyhow, I'm not going to spoil the end of this book because it is sad. And it is sad. It is an L. And the only thing I have to say is she's okay, final book. On the front we have Cars, the main villain of this part, and on the back we have Joseph Joestar once again. Now, opening this up, we continue after some poor mistakes were made, and Joseph and Lisa decide to go and face Wamu and Cars finally, as Wamu has been anxiously waiting to go up in 1v1 Joseph Joestar on Rust, the map Call of Duty Snipers Only. And it's an amazing battle between the two. I mean, it's awesome. This is one of my favorite battles, I would say, in part 2, hands down. You know, we got some more colored pages. This one's pretty cool. Joseph has a lot of hats on. And I didn't even notice, but Cars is right there. He's kind of pulling a Dio pose, I'm not gonna lie. Anyhow, I mentioned this Stone of Acha that went to Switzerland. Well, Cars now has it, as well as a particular item that is from the first part and combines the two, kind of like Dragon Ball Z, fuses them together, and he becomes the ultimate life form, which, I mean, if you look at this, this is aura, like aura, 100%, like, you can't look any cooler than this. And so this is where the final fights between Joseph and Cars begins. And it is an amazing battle. Probably, I don't think it's above Wamu. I'm gonna make a hot take here. I think the Wamu fight is better than the Cars fight. You can find me on that in the comments below. But the Cars fight ends, and it's pretty satisfying ending. And everyone lives happily ever after, except Cars. But that ends part 2 of my Jojo JoJo's Bizarre Adventure manga collection. Next time we're going to do part 3, because we're going in order here. And I am thinking whether or not I should split it into 2 parts, because part 3 has 10 books, and we just went through 4 of them, and that's quite a lot. So, I think I'll split it into 2 parts. So, look out for that. If you like the ASMR video of me just rambling about stuff that I like, such as JoJo, please leave a like down in the comments below. And tell me what your favorite manga series is. Not anime. Manga. Like that you've read. Okay, maybe we can consider anime in there too, because, like, let's be fair, a lot of people like watching anime or reading the source material. I'm a nerd, okay? Anyway, I'll see you guys later in the next video. Peace.